or evening, depending on wherever you happen to be. And welcome to the final episode of our presentation of Norton Street, E.J. Gould's wonderful and extraordinarily instructive play for learning how to creatively tolerate and maybe even actually enjoy eternity, both in the here and in the hereafter, and for how to function more and more artfully and successfully in whatever environments you may find yourselves. When we last left our befuddled hero, the bornless one, and his imaginary companions, who help him to reflect and soften his situation and to cope with the little apartment he finds himself in, where it is always the same day and always the same room. He was discovering, once again, that all phenomena is illusion, that the one is the one. And we also saw that he had concerns about doing damage and how exactly to behave, and that he was learning the scientific explanation for what he is experiencing, although he doesn't like that explanation, as well as the power of attitude and the wisdom of never panicking. If you are joining us here now for the first time, we warmly welcome you to take your seat in this magic invocational theater and strap on and snap in your safety belts for experiencing a creatively curious ride wherein the bornless one continues his unusual adventures and learns about the body of habits, the concept of the bardos, the fact that Norton Street is the clear light, the importance of fantasy, the use of video games, the real secret, and about facing his aloneness, about facing the fact that he is completely alone forever and ever. And lest things seem confusing, we remind you all that just as in everyday life, the roles and the characters who inhabit them are constantly changing. Who knows, maybe next time around, you'll be the bornless one.
Norton Street, a play by E.J. Gould. Act 4, Scene 1. Bornless, Mike, Crystal, and Audrey on stage. Lights up.
I feel like we're far out in space or something.
Yes, that's true. We are always far out in space. That's what is all around us. Even if you were on planet Earth, you'd be surrounded by cold, almost empty space just outside the thin shell of atmospheric gases.
You mean there's no such thing as air up here? Then what are we breathing?
We aren't breathing anything. We don't have to breathe.
But we seem to be breathing. Our chests are moving. Our mouths and nostrils are moving.
Yes, but that's because these 3D models are animated as if they're moving.
I see us breathing and talking.
Yes, that's the beauty of the God Machinima engine. It makes it all seem so real, and yet there's no chance you'd mistake it for the physical human reality.
There's a chunk of stuff missing over there in the corner of the living room.
Where?
Bornless indicates with a wave of his hand.
Right there, near the front door.
Oh, that? We have to leave a chunk out so you can see the void directly from here to help you remember that all phenomena is illusion.
Isn't it all phenomena are illusions? What exactly is here?
Meaning what?
How can we be nowhere and seem so freaking here?
Well, that's the beauty of the God Machinima engine.
What are you? A salesman for the God engine? Isn't there any reality beyond this stupid, crummy, cramped, little rented flat?
No, there isn't.
You mean the sun is actually just a bare 100-watt soft white generic brand light bulb?
But it's also the sun, the solar absolute, the very center of creation.
I don't want to hurt anything. I don't want to touch anything that might resent it or that might attack me.
That won't happen.
Yes, but I'm afraid I might do some damage in here. I'm ready to go back to the Magic Theater or whatever it takes to get me home.
There are lots of ways you could go home right now, bornless one, if you really want to.
Please don't say it.
You could
Please don't say it.
you could click your heels 3 times.
I can't believe you told me to click my heels 3 times. Okay, I'll try it. I'll click my heels 3 times. It's just crazy enough to maybe work. 1, 2, 3. Crap. Nothing happened. I'm still here on Norton Street.
Yeah, that's never worked for me either. I guess you'll just have to wait until it's over.
Okay, when will it be over?
Blackout. Act 4, Scene 2. All four on stage. Lights up.
This brain is too small to think with. Can't you take this body off me?
Not really, no. It's not an organic body. It's a body of habits. The body of habits contains all your tendencies. You can't take it off and it can never die.
Gosh, that's the worst news I've ever heard.
Listen, Bornless, I can't do it for myself either. I'd love to take off my own body of habits and feel free from my metaprogramming karma too. Believe me, my skin is just as much too tight for me as your skin is too tight for you.
The skin is getting even tighter. I feel as if I were stuffed into a wetsuit, 2 sizes too small. It feels puffy and bloated, and the electrical field is giving me pins and needles.
Yep, that describes my condition as well.
Bornless nods off slightly. His head is bobbing a bit.
Why am I the only one who has to suffer like this?
Clearly, you missed my personal report several seconds ago. Didn't you hear me say that the same thing is happening to me?
Yes, that matches my experience.
Mine as well.
See, we're all in this together. Where do you think we came from? You think we're some kind of early settlers?
I was watching a video on YouTube one day, And I woke up permanently and found myself here on Norton Street. And ever since then, I've managed to stay here.
I was on Meta Cafe and suddenly I came here. After lots of viewing of Norton Street, I was able to remain here quite easily.
See, oh Bornless One, you're very much not alone here.
Well, sort of not alone, while at the same time being, as is your nature, absolutely, totally, and forever alone. Are you listening to what we're telling you?
What?
Burnless is beginning to come out of his stupor.
What? Sorry, I missed what you said there. I seem to have dozed off for a moment. I feel like I'm burning up inside, like I've been put together wrong or something.
Looks okay from here. Heads on top, feet down below, trunk in the middle.
I feel as if I'm going to faint again. Am I astral traveling?
In a way, except you came up through the parallel world dimensions instead of staying in your miniature home world and flying around in there.
So what you're saying is that this is where I go after I die?
Yes, that's right. This is where you spend some of your bardo.
Bardo?
The bardo is the between lives state. That's what happens to you between organic lifetimes.
There are 3 stages of bardo running. The first is the clear light. That's Norton
That's-
Street.
You are in the clear light now.
If, for some pathetic reason, you're unable to return to the clear light, you'll eventually find yourself unconsciously rummaging around in the fridge, groping for some treats, and you might very well start thinking about taking a nice hot bath.
Eventually, you'll suddenly find yourself outside on the dark streets, running around Bardotown seeking refuge from the terrifyingly haunting visions and apparitions that seem to be relentlessly chasing you. That will be a second Bardo.
It can't be worse than this tight cycle of the same old scenario, over and over and over again.
The third bardo will be when you run into a lot of couples on spring break, trying to self-replicate. In short, you feel the urge to breed, to couple, to screw.
I can't seem to stay alive for more than one single breathless moment at a time.
Who among us can? None of us lives more than one breath. The real secret is in the moment between the out-breath and the in-breath.
What about the moment between the in-breath and the out-breath?
That's another secret.
Well, I want to learn how to stay here on Norton Street without fear and suffering.
So do we. We can help each other, but nobody, not even you, oh bornless one, who is the one doing all this, knows all the answers.
Bornless sits down at his desk.
Life after life, it just seems and has been a dream. I've never actually left this room. I've lived countless lives, and yet I've never left this room.
That's true, but thanks to your desktop computer and your God engine and editor, you can create worlds to go into and place friends inside them as companions.
It's not the same as actually being there.
No, it's not. But it's the best we can do at the moment to make it seem as if you're not alone.
Sinking down into the mud and organic slime, just so I can jump into some other object and do it all over again? It doesn't make any sense.
No? Would you rather play alone in an empty level?
Not at all. I don't want to play alone in an empty level.
So why don't we play a bit of Team Fortress for a while? I'll get my desktop in the guest bedroom.
Me too.
I'll get on the desktop in the master bedroom.
How many times has this happened before? Who are you guys, really?
Would you actually like to know who we really are?
Will the bornless one find out who his companions on Norton Street really are? Will the bornless one ever learn to handle the reactions to the waking state? Will the bornless one find a sandwich in the fridge only to find himself staring up at himself? Tune into the next episode of Norton Street to find out about this and other exotic details. Blackout. Act 4, Scene 3. All four on stage. Lights up.
When are you going to let me out of here?
I often wonder the same thing about you, but neither of us has any control over who else is here. The only control you have is over yourself, such as it is.
You just want to torture me. You're driving me crazy.
It's a very short drive.
Why can't I go insane?
You're not really trying hard enough, and it doesn't actually do any good. In fact, it makes it worse. The more you struggle, the tighter the straitjacket gets.
How much longer does this go on?
For as long as it goes on. From my experience, it's like trying to keep your head just above the event horizon.
Can't we do something else for a change?
Gosh, I didn't realize you had attention deficit disorder on top of all your other problems in dealing with this space.
Did you pull me up here into Norton Street just to make fun of me?
Actually, no. But now that you're here, we certainly have enough material to do a comedy roast with you as the guest of honor.
Oh, please, not this again. Help me.
Help you what?
I don't want to feel all these powerful sensations anymore.
You'll feel them more without a body than you will with an organic body. An organic body is unfeeling dead meat. Organic bodies are numb and senseless compared to spiritual plasma at the speed of light. Are you doing okay with this?
Not especially well. I wish I could black out. Then maybe I could get some rest.
I've tried it.
What happened?
It worked. I was able to submerge myself into total blackout.
Then what?
Then I was here again, as always.
I knew you were going to say that. I'd like to play Bardo Town Death Run 4 right now.
It hasn't been released yet. Would you like to play the beta?
No, I'm tired of the same two partial levels, and I don't want to play the barbarian, and frankly, I hate the combat cook. I think that's the dumbest character class I've ever played.
Will the bornless one find a decent character class in Death Run 4? Will he and Crystal steal the blue flag before Mike and Audrey can steal the red one? Will you upscale to Norton Street now before you forget again? Tune in to the next episode of Norton Street and tell all your friends to come on up and party with us. Blackout. Act 4, scene 4. All 4 on stage. Lights up.
You guys are doing all this to me, aren't you?
All what?
All this. It'll be okay in a while. This too may pass. At least now I know what makes the whole thing work. So this is how it all ends up. I surrender to it all and become nothing more than a wave of improbability on an ocean of uncertainty.
That's a very poetic way of putting it.
I'd break down and cry if it weren't so freaking funny.
Funny? What's so funny?
This whole thing is funny. It's totally ridiculous. Reality and the multiverse are just one big joke.
Reality is a crutch for those who can't face fantasy.
Reality is a crutch for those who can't face fantasy? That doesn't make any freaking sense, Audrey.
Yes, it does. Think about it. You need to develop some skills at fantasy, oh bornless one, or face eternity in total misery and suffering.
Can you tell me why every time I die, I end up here? And when I do, I always feel as if I've failed to accomplish something I set out to do. I feel as if I wasted my time on Earth doing silly, stupid things instead of doing what I intended to with that organic lifetime.
Which was what?
Which was try to either change Norton Street somehow to make it more bearable, or to change myself to make Norton Street tolerable, and maybe even actually fun.
The second choice would have a far better chance of success.
I know that, Audrey. And Norton Street really isn't so bad. It's just that every so often I wish I could play something other than solitaire endlessly, alone forever and ever and ever.
The online games like Team Fortress, Diablo, and Death Run seem to give you the comforting impression of otherness.
Yes, as long as the excitement level is up, the game is close. The battle is raging, the bridge is dominated by an enemy turret, and you're waging hand-to-hand mortal melee combat down in the sewers with an Uber medic. Heavy team. Everything's fine, no problem. But when things settle down into routine flag patrols and setting det packs around the entrance to my intelligence room, I start thinking, and one thing leads to another, and here I am again in Norton Street at my imaginary console, looking at my imaginary arms and hands, at my imaginary keyboard, and that weird feeling comes over me of being utterly and completely alone forever and ever.
What about us? We're actually here in Norton Street with you, where you live.
Yes, but every so often that creepy, scary chill comes over me from the back of the neck, and I remember that everything in Norton Street is projected like a video from the computer chip that is my very essence.
It seems to cool you out to play video games.
Yes, it does. It makes my stay on Norton Street much easier.
Well, if it works for you, let's give it a try.
You've all been laughing at me all this time. You all knew about Norton Street. I was so stupid all this time. I feel so guilty, so stupid, so...
No need to feel any of those things, oh bornless one. This has nothing to do with self-esteem issues. It's strictly up to you how fast we take the turns up to permanent residence at Norton Street.
What happens next?
We play some Diablo or Team Fortress, or we can just sit if you'd rather meditate, or we could pace up and down from one room to another if you think that would help.
Okay, I'll pace the floor. Believe me, I'm not always this confused.
Of course you're not.
Don't patronize me. I'm not always this helpless. Usually I'm in control, but this is different. This is Norton Street.
You keep talking about control. Do you really need to be in control?
What are you going to do to me?
Nothing. What are you planning to do to yourself?
I failed the test, didn't I?
There was no test.
Now, you're going to destroy me, aren't you? I know you guys are planning to destroy me.
What the freaking hell are you talking about, bornless one?
I deserve to be destroyed for everything I did wrong.
You can't be destroyed, Bornless. You are the one. There is no other.
The space is getting cramped again. You didn't hear those thoughts of mine just then, did you?
Of course we did. How could we help it?
Mike, Crystal, and Audrey exit stage left.
Gosh, I was really paranoid there for a while. But I'm okay now. I think I'll go into the kitchen and get myself an ice cream sandwich and a Pepsi. Then I'll go for a walk outside in downtown Bardo Town to see if I can pick up a nice, hot, sexy, horny, sexy, barely legal, sexy young colleagues, sexy fetish, sexy bikini thong, triple X, sexy blonde girl with sexy big boobs and a sexy bubble butt ass, where some girls are called wild girls next door, sex in the city, hip hop, get down, booty shake, jump and be a NASCAR action. Or we could play some Team Fortress. That would maybe help me stay here in Norton Street a while longer. What do you say, guys? Anyone for Team Fortress?
Bornless sits in desk chair, facing downstage.
I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here.
Blackout.
Come with me, coming to Norton Street, coming to Norton Street, where we'll be at our feet, and we can't get eat here on Norton Street. Norton Street, here we can't get eat on Norton Street.